Shotguns, the only firearm that turns close enough into a direct hit. From old school muskets that spread the love, literally, to modern tactical beasts that can clear a hallway faster than a Black Friday sale at Walmart, these boomsticks have come a long way. But how did we go from elegant double barrels to semi-auto magazine-fed monsters? Stick around because we're diving deep into the evolution of shotguns, one shell at a time. Long before shotguns became the boomsticks of choice for hunters, home defenders, and Hollywood action stars, their ancestors roamed the battlefields and hunting grounds of old. Meet the smoothbore musket, the prehistoric grandfather of the modern shotgun. Big, bulky, and about as precise as throwing a rock in a hurricane. Back in the 16th century, muskets were the height of firearm technology. They had one job: fire a lead ball downrange and hope it hit something. And hope was doing a lot of heavy lifting. Muskets weren't exactly known for their pinpoint accuracy. In fact, hitting a moving target with one was like trying to thread a needle while riding a horse, backward, blindfolded. But then, someone, probably a nobleman who was tired of missing his dinner, had a brilliant idea. What if instead of one bullet, we fire a whole bunch of tiny ones? Thus, the fowling piece was born. These early shotguns were designed specifically for hunting birds, which meant European aristocrats could finally bag their pheasants without looking like complete fools in front of their peers. But were the guns reliable? Let's find out. Early firearms were flintlocks, which meant they used a piece of flint striking against steel to create a spark and ignite the gunpowder. Sounds simple, right? Well, it worked about half the time. The other half, your gun just made a sad clicking noise while your target flew away, probably laughing at you. However, the percussion cap system of the early 19th century changed the game. No more relying on unpredictable sparks. This new system used a small, sealed cap that actually ignited when struck, making shotguns far more reliable. Finally, hunters could shoot without fear of their gun misfiring like a bad punchline. But in walks the real game changer, scattershot. Before, firing a musket meant placing all your bets on a single lead ball. But with scattershot, one pull of the trigger sent multiple pellets flying in a spread pattern, turning every shot into a generous serving of lead confetti. This was revolutionary. Why aim perfectly when you could just make the target stand somewhere in the general area? This concept made shotguns the great equalizer in hunting and combat. No longer did you need the aim of a trained marksman. If you could point in the right direction, you had a chance. That's why the shotgun became the go-to tool for bird hunters, farmers, and anyone who preferred efficiency over elegance. So, by the end of the 18th century, the shotgun had firmly established itself as the weapon of choice for those who believed in minimal effort, maximum damage. The smoothbore musket had evolved into a more refined, specialized firearm, one that could take down a bird in flight, a charging enemy, or, if you were unlucky, your aristocratic neighbor's prized peacock. But this was just the beginning. The next step in the shotgun's evolution? The double-barrel boomstick. Because if one shot was good, two were even better. Stay tuned. By the 19th century, firearms were evolving faster than a city pigeon dodging traffic. The days of muzzle-loading muskets, where you had to pour in gunpowder, shove in a wad, load a projectile, and say a quick prayer before firing, were numbered. People wanted speed, reliability, and something that didn't require a 5-step ritual just to take a second shot. Enter the breech-loading shotgun, the firearm equivalent of discovering fast food. Muzzleloaders had one big flaw. Reloading took longer than Hollywood marriages last. If you missed your shot, you had to go through the whole loading process again while your target, whether it was a bird, a deer, or an enemy, was already halfway to the next county. Breech-loading shotguns solved that problem. Instead of stuffing gunpowder and projectile down the barrel, you could simply open the breech, drop in a shell, close it, and fire away. Reloading went from a frustrating chore to a quick, efficient motion. But honestly, one shot is never enough. The real star of this era was the double-barrel shotgun. The shotgun's so nice, they gave it ammo twice. The double-barrel shotgun was the iPhone of the 19th century. Sleek, powerful, and something every gentleman wanted to own. There were two main types. The side-by-side, classic, elegant, and favored by English hunters and American frontiersmen alike. The barrels sat next to each other, making it perfect for quick target transitions. Think of it as the dueling pistols of shotguns, ready for action, refined in design. The second type is the over-under, which came later but offered better accuracy due to the vertically stacked barrels. It became the go-to choice for sports shooters because it had a more natural point of aim. No matter the configuration, the double-barrel shotgun became a symbol of power and prestige. If you are an aristocrat in England, a farmer in America, or just someone who liked the sound of two barrels of destruction at your fingertips, this was the shotgun for you. With the rise of break-action shotguns, hunting became less of a necessity and more of a sport. Wealthy landowners in Europe and America started game hunts, where they release birds and shoot them mid-flight because, apparently, just shooting a sitting duck was too easy. This led to the birth of competitive shooting sports, like trap and skeet shooting, where people honed their skills by blasting clay pigeons out of the sky. For the first time, shooting became a recreational pastime rather than just a survival skill. If you had a good shotgun, a sharp eye, and a few aristocratic friends, you could spend your afternoon sipping brandy and proving your superiority by obliterating ceramic discs. While hunters and sportsmen beloved break-action shotguns, war has a way of finding uses for anything that goes boom. By the time of the American Civil War, shotguns were making their way into battle, not just for soldiers, but for cavalrymen, guerrilla fighters, and even home defense. Short-barreled shotguns became a favorite for close-quarters combat, earning the nickname coach guns, because stagecoach drivers often kept them handy for dealing with highway robbers who thought they could get a free ride. Confederate and Union forces alike used shotguns for skirmishes, ambushes, and general mayhem. With their ability to fire multiple projectiles in a single blast, they were devastating at close range. Kind of like an early version of a frag grenade, but with more wood and steel. By the end of the 19th century, the break-action shotgun had cemented itself in history. It was fast, reliable, and elegant, everything that muzzleloaders were not. It became the ultimate tool for hunters, sportsmen, and anyone who preferred their firearms to be both deadly and stylish. But as great as the double-barrel shotgun was, humans are never satisfied. What if you could shoot more rounds without reloading? What if you could cycle shells with a simple pump motion? Well, hold on to your hats because the next evolution of the shotgun was about to revolutionize everything. The pump-action era was knocking on the door. By the late 19th century, shotguns had already come a long way, from single-shot muskets to the sleek, aristocratic double barrels. But as great as break-action shotguns were, they had one fatal flaw. 2 shots and you're out. In a world where more was always better, more firepower, more speed, more chances to hit something, shooters wanted a shotgun that could keep up with fast-moving targets and fast-moving trouble. Enter John Moses Browning, the Michelangelo of firearms, a man whose ideas would shape gun history like no other. In 1897, he gave the world a masterpiece, the Winchester Model 1897, also known as the first widely adopted pump-action shotgun. The Model 1897 was a revelation. Instead of breaking open the barrel and manually reloading every time, all you had to do was rack the pump, chamber a new shell, and keep blasting. This meant faster follow-up shots, more firepower, and a shotgun that felt more like a machine of war than a gentleman's hunting tool. Suddenly, shotgunners weren't stuck with just 2 shots. They had 5, 6, or even more, depending on the model. And with each dramatic ka-chunk of the pump, you weren't just reloading, you were declaring war on whatever poor target was in front of you. Shotguns have always had a simple formula: more lead, less effort, maximum damage. But the pump-action shotgun took that to a whole new level. Here's why it became the dominant force in the shotgun world: speed. With a quick slide of the forend, you could fire almost instantly. Perfect for everything from duck hunting to dealing with home intruders who didn't take the hint the first time. Reliability. Unlike early semi-autos, which had a tendency to jam at the worst possible moment, pump-action shotguns were mechanically simple and built to last. Affordability. Semi-autos were expensive to make, but pump-actions? Tough, simple, and cheaper than an aristocrat's hunting dog. With these advantages, the pump-action shotgun quickly became a must-have for hunters, police, and soldiers alike. And speaking of soldiers, if there was ever a place where pump-action shotguns truly earned their reputation, it was the trenches of World War I. Picture this: a muddy, blood-soaked battlefield where soldiers fought in tight, confined spaces, clearing out enemy positions at distances so close you could hear the other guy breathe. Traditional bolt-action rifles? Too slow. Bayonets? Too messy. But a pump-action shotgun loaded with buckshot? Now that was a different story. The Winchester Model 1897 trench gun was so devastating at close range that German forces actually protested its use, calling it inhumane. Imagine that this was the same war where mustard gas and flamethrowers were totally fine, but shotguns? Too much. These trench booms could clear out enemy positions with terrifying efficiency. With a widespread rapid-fire capability and raw stopping power, they made close-quarters combat brutal, fast, and incredibly effective. And when the war ended, soldiers didn't forget. They brought that knowledge and those shotguns back home, where they would soon find new roles beyond the battlefield. By the early 20th century, the pump-action shotgun wasn't just for soldiers and hunters anymore. It became the ultimate home defense weapon because, let's be honest, nothing says bad idea like the sound of a 12-gauge racking in the dark. Law enforcement also took notice. As urban crime rose, police forces needed something more effective than revolvers for crowd control and riot situations. Enter the riot shotgun, a short-barreled pump-action powerhouse that could disperse a crowd or stop a threat in an instant. Bank robberies? Riot shotgun. Mob violence? Riot shotgun. Bootleggers getting too bold? Riot shotgun. By the time Prohibition and the gangster era rolled in, law enforcement and criminals alike knew one thing: a pump-action shotgun was here to stay. By the early 20th century, the pump-action shotgun was no longer just an evolution. It was a revolution. It was fast, powerful, and reliable, cementing itself as the gold standard for shotguns. But, as always, humanity wanted more. What if a shotgun could fire as fast as you could pull the trigger? What if it could cycle itself without a pump at all? The semi-automatic era was about to begin, and once again, the shotgun world would never be the same. By the early 20th century, shotguns had already gone from single-shot relics to pump-action powerhouses. But humanity is never satisfied. Why manually cycle a shotgun when we could let science and a little bit of recoil do the work for us? Enter John Moses Browning. Yes, that Browning. The guy responsible for half of the world's greatest firearms. In 1903, he unleashed a game-changer upon the world, the Browning Auto 5, the first successful semi-automatic shotgun. The Auto 5, or A5 for short, wasn't just another shotgun. It was a mechanical marvel. Unlike pump actions, which required you to manually work the action after each shot, the A5 used recoil energy to automatically eject the spent shell, load a new one, and be ready to fire again in an instant. This was huge. Faster follow-up shots meant more birds down, more bad guys neutralized, and fewer sore shoulders for shooters. Speaking of which, the reduced felt recoil was another major win since some of the recoil energy was used to cycle the action. Shooters could keep firing without feeling like they just took a punch to the chest. Suddenly, semi-auto shotguns weren't just the future. They were the gold standard for anyone who wanted speed, efficiency, and maximum firepower. And that included some very serious customers. While pump-action shotguns dominated World War I and II, the Vietnam War saw the semi-auto shotgun step into the battlefield in a big way. Soldiers used them for jungle warfare, where close-quarters combat demanded rapid fire and heavy stopping power. If an enemy popped out from the brush, a semi-auto shotgun meant one pull of the trigger equaled one more problem solved without the delay of cycling a pump. Law enforcement also took notice, as police forces and SWAT teams became more specialized in the mid to late 20th century. The semi-auto shotgun became a key part of their arsenal. Faster follow-up shots and rapid stopping power meant that when situations got ugly, officers had firepower that could respond just as fast as the threat. Of course, it wasn't just the military and cops who saw the potential. Hunters and sports shooters quickly realized that semi-auto shotguns made their lives way easier. Ducks flying in fast? No problem. Fire 3 shots before they even know what's happening. Trap and skeet shooting? The less time you spend cycling the action, the better your scores. Home defense? A semi-auto means more firepower, fewer delays, and a very bad day for anyone dumb enough to break in. By the late 20th century, semi-automatic shotguns had gone from a wild new concept to a must-have firearm. They were faster, more efficient, and more powerful than ever. But as always, the question remained, what's next? Could shotguns get even more advanced? Could they hold even more rounds? Oh, you bet. Because the tactical shotgun era was right around the corner. and things were about to get even louder. Shotguns have always been loud, devastating, and a little bit over the top, which is exactly why they've stayed relevant for centuries. But by the late 20th century, traditional scatterguns weren't enough. The world needed something faster, meaner, and built for tactical dominance. Enter the combat shotgun, a firearm so effective that even the military couldn't ignore it. The Benelli M4, with its semi-auto gas system, became the go-to shotgun for the U.S. Marine Corps because when Uncle Sam wants a boomstick, he gets the best boomstick. Meanwhile, the Mossberg 590A1 proved itself as a rugged, pump-action warhorse, ready to survive anything from battlefield trenches to police raids. But why stop at tubes? In the age of tactical warfare, magazine-fed shotguns like the Saiga 12 and Kalashnikov KS-12 stepped onto the scene. Why manually reload shells when you can slap in a 10-round mag and go to work? These shotguns blurred the line between traditional firepower and modern assault weapons, making them favorites for military, law enforcement, and home defenders who don't believe in second chances. Speaking of close-quarters chaos, the rise of short-barreled shotguns, SBS, and pistol grip models meant maximum devastation in tight spaces. Meanwhile, police and SWAT teams found new ways to use shotguns, not just for firepower, but for less lethal options like beanbag rounds and rubber bullets. And let's not forget sports shooters, because in 3-gun competitions and Olympic skeet shooting, shotguns are just as relevant as ever. From battlefields to competitions, shotguns keep evolving. The only question is, what's next? Shotguns have come a long way, from powder-filled muskets to trench brooms to semi-auto beasts. But if history has taught us anything, it's that firearms never stop evolving. So what's next for the king of close-quarters carnage? First up, smart shotguns. Imagine a scattergun with electronic aiming, computerized spread control, and maybe even a built-in AI that whispers, "Nice shot," after every blast. The future might look less like a hunting trip and more like a video game, except the leaderboards are real. Then there's caseless ammunition and space-aged materials. No more heavy brass shells, just lightweight, high-power firepower that hits like a freight train but carries like a feather. Say goodbye to bulky shotguns and hello to sleek, futuristic boomsticks that feel like they belong in a sci-fi movie. And speaking of sci-fi, bullpup and modular designs are changing the game. Shorter barrels, better balance, and completely customizable platforms means shotguns of the future will be smaller, smarter, and deadlier than ever, perfect for tactical teams and home defenders alike. Home defense shotguns aren't going anywhere. As laws shift and technology advances, shotguns will remain the ultimate equalizer, ensuring that when trouble comes knocking, the answer will always be 12-gauge and unforgiving. So what's next? Laser-guided buckshot? Shotguns with suppressors? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this shotgun is far from done. And that'll be all for today, folks. If you enjoyed our narration of the evolution of shotguns, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next episode.